Hi, how's it going? This is Ed from SGUTV, and today we're going to cover T-cell differentiation. So you can see this diagram behind me. I can have this naive T-cell, and I can turn it into many different types of T-cells over here. So let's go over how we can memorize this particular pathway, because, oh boy, there's so much stuff going on. So let's get right to it. First, we're going to start with the naive T-cell over here. And we see that I've drawn a friendly, naive T-cell looking guy. He looks so happy about life. Poor naive guy, he doesn't know what's coming up for him. It's going to be quite a hairy story. Well, this naive T-cell right here, you can see that he's accompanied by his 7 little C buddies over here. And this helps us to remember that we have CCR7, okay? CCR7 will bind to CCL19 and 21, which are ligands on infected cells. And what's going to happen is it's going to start to differentiate this T-cell to start to have the adaptive immune system effect. So what's going to happen is that your body will start to recognize these antigens and take action against them. So your body is able to develop immunity, right? It's called adaptive immunity. We also have something called innate immunity, but the thing is that an adaptive immunity can ramp up its response the next time it's exposed to an antigen versus the innate immunity, which will have the same effect each and every time. So this naive T-cell, just hanging out, right? Happy with his 7 little buddies. You can see 3 on one end, 3 on the other one, and a big C on his forehead, just to make it real clear that keep things nice and symmetrical here. But oh my goodness, this poor guy right here. What happened? One of his friends got X'd out. And the other one went missing. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? One of them ran away. The other one went to the other side. He went behind. Right? He doesn't know what's going on over here. So this poor guy, he's been primed. Now he's ready for some type of action. He sees his friend's been X'd out or killed. He's not happy about it. Okay, and just so you know, this particular pathway is, this particular point of the chain is actually associated with Burkitt's lymphoma. And that's just if we want to remember back to genetics, then that means that the chromosome, that the gene on chromosome 8 has been moved to chromosome 14. It's just a little, little repetition to help you remember. So we can see the C's have moved a little bit, and these C's are going to be a recurring theme throughout the whole entire story here. But in this case, we see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one of them is X'd out. So this helps us remember CXCR5, right? C, we got our C's hanging out there. We have only 5 of them left before there were 7. One got killed, one ran away, and one of them got turned into an X. So that's going to be the CXCR5. Okay. Now, let's go to check out what the products of the prime T-cell become. Let's start from the top, let's go to the bottom. So the first thing is, this T-cell over here, right? He wanted to find out who killed his friend, and he found out that it was the Don over here. Now, there's something called the major mnemonic system. This is to help you memorize numbers. And I do assume that you have some familiarity with, I'll go over it right quick. 0 would be a T or a D. 1 would be a T or a D. 2 would be a N. 3 would be a M. 4 would be a R. 5 would be a L. 6 would be a soft G sound. 7 would be a K or a hard G sound. 8 would be a F. And 9 would be a B. And 0 is that sh sound, right? Anyway, so, or a S sound, right? So the thing is, and please watch our other video on that if you need to really work more on that. So the thing is that we remember that we have the Don over here, right? That's 1 and that's 2. That's 12. IL-12, okay? So he's going to introduce himself to the Don. He's trying to find out who murdered his friend, and it was the Don. And the Don has so much things going on. Remember, he is the kingpin of crime in New York City. So he actually is going to be running, right? He's going to be responsible for taking care of the macrophages, the killer T-cells, the helper T-cells, and he's going to be acting against bacteria, protozoas, and virus, basically all the bad guys, right? He's basically acting on them. And there's a little bit funny things going on with this particular character. He's a little bit eccentric, and he's actually producing IFNY, right, or IFN gamma actually, that's not a Y, and then TNF, that's tumor necrosis factor. So one way that I used to remember this is that the Don, he has cancer. And he's taking this anti-cancer medication, TNF, and also he's taking this iffy drug over here, right? And this iffy drug is actually going to be a radioactive substance that's giving out gamma rays, these green little lines. So you can see that right here, this Don over here, it helps us to associate everything together. All right? The Don actually, as you remember from the movie Godfather, I highly recommend if you haven't seen it. Godfather 2, Godfather 3, definitely favorites of mine. I do like Godfather 3. If you don't like Godfather 3, I'm sorry. It's still great. Anyways, so let's take a look right here, right? He has captains underneath him. He's got 2 captains. One of them got X'd out, so once again we have the CXC, right? And under this, right, that means what? CXC3, okay? And then over here we see 5 C's over here, right? That means CCR5, okay? So the thing is that these captains have sub-captains underneath them, and they're in a little bit of a war going on because they could split evenly, but the third one, right? 2 go to this captain, 2 go to this captain, but who's going to get this captain right here? So there's a little bit of a war going on after this guy who used to run this guy got killed. So that can help you to try to remember that it's CXC3 and CCR5. Now let's see what's going on here. You can see that also I say that there's these T-bills over here, right? He's actually making some investment into T-bills, some currency, what do you call it when they make fake? Counterfeit, right? Counterfeit T-bills. So he is actually involved with T-bet over here, okay? He's trying to place bets with these counterfeit bills and turn them into actual cash. So that's just something that this Don is involved with. And that's for TH1, right? That's T helper cell 1. Let's move on to the next one. We have T helper cell 2 over here, right? Now this Don over here, he heard that the T cells, looking for him, so he hired a hitman. And his hitman the name is Ron, okay? Ron is going to be a parasite. He's this guy. Okay, let's talk about Ron for a second, why I mentioned his name Ron first, right? We have Don, which leads to Ron, okay? Maybe that can help you to remember it. So Ron, right, we see IL-4 and IL-2. If you remember the major mnemonic system, right? R is a 4 and 2 is an N. So IL-4, IL-2, right? We start with Don and we move to Ron, okay? Now Ron over here, Ron has 3 arms. He's a weird little worm, and those are GATs, right? So we can remember it's GATA3, and also STAT6. So once you remember 3, I think it's easy to remember 6. So I didn't really build a mnemonic for that right there. You just have to remember he's got 3 GATs, and he's going to, stat in the medical terms, sometimes it means like do it quick, do it now. So he's got 3 GATs and you put 6 bullets in, you stat, right? So stat 6. In fact, I can do that right there. I can draw 2 bullets coming out of each little gun. Okay, so now that's stat 6 because he's gonna shoot you with the quickness. All right, let's move on. So remember I said that this guy's associated with, he's a parasite that's going to help us remember that eosinophils, you should know that eosinophils work on these parasites. And the mast cells and basophils are kind of related. They're going to release those granules that are also having some type of anti-parasitic activity. And they also have some business with the helper T cells, okay? So just when you think about Th1, Th2, you're just always thinking helper T cells. That's just, right, it's in the name, Th2, Th1, right? So it's kind of obvious that that's kind of where it's going to head, all right? Now let's talk about some of the specialty guys, okay? Treg, T17, and TFH, which stands for follicular helper. Anyways, yeah. So let's talk about Tregs first, all right? So the thing is that this T cell over here, right? He's actually going to call on the regulator, right? You see this guy over here? Okay? He's a regulator and he carries this big rifle called the TGF beta, all right? Now I know the thing is that back in the days of the Doom, there was something called the BFG, which stands for Big Freaking Gun, okay? But in this case, we're going to remember the name TGF, right? TGF beta. It kind of sounds like a little bit like the BFG, right? It just mixes the letters up a little bit, okay? You could say it's a technical BFG and you just scramble up the BFG a little bit. And you see that he's a fox, or he's a guy wearing a fox mask, right? Because it's Fox P3. He's actually a mercenary, and he used to be a private in the army. You can see his private rank insignia right there. and he was a private class 3. So you can see on both sides he's got a private, a little, like, this little symbol right here, which stands for private. And then he's got a 3 logo right next to it, so it's Fox P3, all right? This is one of the things that will actually encourage the formation of Treg. And what is Treg right there? The function of Treg is to downregulate effector T cells, okay? So just remember that this Fox right here, when he shows up, right, he's going to be suppressing things. He's going to be holding down the activity of the T cells. And actually, you can see that this character right here, he actually turned the tables, and actually now he's going to be firing at the T cell right here. So he's going to be down-regulating, he's going to put this T cell down. Even though this T cell came to him for help, oops, he didn't know the Fox is actually working for the Don over here, right? So that's just the storyline to help you remember that. Now let's move along, okay? And we're going to check out the next one over here, which is T17, and you can see that there's a little bit of a red border here, okay? That's to help you remember that it's an inflammatory molecule, okay? And T17, okay, is known for having some action against fungi, all right? Not fungi. That's such a played out pun. Everybody using the medical terminology, but that's just how you pronounce it. It sounds like that, so whatever. This guy's not a fun guy, okay? He's going to actually be roaring in anger, right? He's a criminal, just like the rest of these characters over here on the right-hand side. Fun guy, right? And actually, you can see that he has these T things coming out of his head, right? Out of his hat, whatever, right? And these are green colored, and they're, once again, if you remember the gamma right over here, they're releasing those gamma rays. These things are also releasing gamma rays, so that's going to help us remember TFG, this is going to help us remember TGF beta, right? This was the name of the gun, right? And it's named after this radioactive substance, and TGF, right, because it's deadly. And TGF, also here we see TGF, and there's TGF beta right here, okay? Not only that, but I also have the product of this particular fungi is going to be CCR4. So we see our 4 little C guys again hanging out over here, right? And they're sad because they used to hang out with this fun T guy, all naive and having a good time. Look, even this one's even smiling a little bit. This guy's smiling over here. Then they got horrified over here, and now they got linked up with this horrible fungus guy, and he's just crazy, screaming roar all the time. And they're pretty sad over here. Look, this guy looks pretty dejected. So yeah, that's T17. Okay, T17 is a special class of cell, so it's just good to remember that. So this is our second specialty. Our last specialty of cell is going to be the T follicular helper cell. And you can see this guy over here, and he's a B-boy, right? He's doing a little breakdancing over here. And why is he doing his breakdance thing? Well, because the T follicular helper cells, what they do is they actually help to stimulate the B cells. So you can remember it's a B-boy, Bronx boy, break boy, however you want to call it. If you're in the hip-hop world, you might know what I'm talking about. If not, look it up. It's a fascinating history, and a very, American music is one of the few things that, America's #1 in. We make jazz, we made hip-hop, that's cool. So I'm a big fan of that. Anyway, so another thing that you should notice here is that you see his hands right here, right? He's flashing his hand to 5, but he's wearing purple gloves, and he's wearing purple shoes over here. That's to help us remember that. Remember, anytime that I have a signaling complex made by this particular, this series of things, right? I have it actually in purple. So that will help you remember that CXCR5, right, is going to be there. And also, you could also remember this too because I have the 5 C's over here, right? And they're his backup dancers, right? They had to find a career, right? Not all of them, after their time with this fungi right there, they managed to get away and they joined a street dance team, right, with the B-boys over here. And look, they're doing the little dance over here, but this guy here got X'd out, right? Couldn't handle that street life. So CXCR5, and that is how you have the differentiation of all the T cells. I hope this was helpful for you. I know it was helpful for me. And good luck in your studies. All right, that's it. Thanks for checking out SGU TV. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out our other videos.